you wasting your time and money on inefficiencies in the business? Are sales down and lead conversion rates are low? Are you having problems building or maintaining inventory levels? What does it really take to win in the automotive industry?
Get the cars that make sense for your store rather than just wishing at an auction, so it gives you that better control.
With over 25 years of experience, Darrell the Wolf Steed isn't just another industry voice. He's the guy who's out there solving real problems for dealers just like you.
They'll even say in the Pacific Northwest where you're at that it's a tougher market. It's, it's tougher to find cars. The market's a little bit softer. And in the midst of all this, your turn doubled and your profit's up 75%.
Yes.
The truth hurts only when it should. Are you ready to hear the truths? Darrell is here to unpack the hard truths and the proven strategies that will take your dealership from struggling to soaring. And he is taking it all in the streets, with real talk, open dialogue, unfiltered conversations. This is the podcast series, Street Smarts, powered by Smartwolf Consulting.
Welcome back, you guys. Welcome back. We have got an absolute fantastic episode this week, and welcome back to the Street Smarts powered by Smartwolf Consulting. You guys can see a new background, new vibe, new everything, and we're bringing something absolutely new to the industry. It's been around for a little bit, but unless it's been around for 10 years, it's new to the industry, and this is something that can change how you go about acquisition, how you go about servicing, and how you go about customer service. So I'm super excited to bring in both Justin Silver and Scott Trainor from Check My Driver at Modives. These guys are they're doing some different things here, guys. And so I'm glad you guys can come on. And first off, introduce your guys' self and tell us a little bit about yourself before we get into this revolutionary new tool that you guys are bringing to market.
Hi. Hey, everyone. Justin Silver here. I am the co-founder and COO at Check My Driver by Modives. I've been an insurance guy for most of my career, but through insurance have had my connection into automotive, having been in personal lines and managing dealer relationships for the early part of my career. Super excited to be here and helping the automotive space kind of take something that's pretty outdated. There's a lot of things that are outdated, but pretty outdated and kind of flipping it on its head a bit. So super excited to talk about that today.
Appreciate you coming on, Justin. What about you, Scott? Give us a little intro on you. I mean, I know you. We've known each other for a long time, but let everybody else get to know you.
Yeah, Scott Trainor. My background is all automotive. I've been in the auto industry since I've been 19 years old, started selling cars, worked my way up to managing Canada's largest Mercedes-Benz dealer before coming down here to the United States. When I was approached by Justin and his team, this was a product that I really saw the future for, wish I had when I was in retail, and I'm glad to be on it.
Nope, I agree with you. So we're gonna jump right into this, you guys. So Check My Driver. I've known what Modives is, but I didn't realize there was two different things. So we're gonna focus on the part of the automotive division. But Check My Driver, what does this do? And we're gonna get into a couple different questions, but I'm really curious. How does this, before we get into what does it do, how does this revolutionize or impact the business today, for the automobile space?
Yeah, I mean, there's a number of different things, and different folks care about some different points. But at a high level, there's a lot of operational inefficiencies that happen in the dealership that ultimately impact themselves, their own profitability, but also their customer experience. And so the first thing is really kind of flipping that in the head and bringing a lot of efficiency and proficiency into the dealership that could ultimately save a lot of frustration, time, risk, and exposure for the dealership and their customers through what we Check My Driver does is the ID verification and the insurance verification process at those moments inside of a dealership. But the value on the other side of this is that we're collecting a lot of information and data that really helps the dealer make money, which is even more music to their ears. One part is, not expending money or having it leak out the door. The other side is actually just adding it right to the top line. So we're excited to talk about, how we fit into those things.
Absolutely. I mean, you're just you're talking dirty to me. You're saying proficiency and efficiency and making more money. I mean, I'm kind of confused right now, because if you say those three things, I'm in and I don't even know what it is.
Yeah.
So give us kind of like the rundown. I mean, so you're saying that we can do insurance verification, and we can do, would you say license verification or something
Yes. So the license verification is one component, right? Is it real? But the other piece is there's a lot of fraud that plagues the dealerships and then ultimately the lenders on the other side.
What?
So the
There's
synthetic
fraud?
Yeah, exactly.
There's fraud and fake licenses?
Yep.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's a big piece. So we do is the license real? That's piece one. I hand you a document, and then the other side is, have they built up a synthetic profile? Somehow people can get things that appear to be real or may be real, but ultimately they may be bad actors. And so the combination actually of ID and insurance verification is very unique that we do. And the combo of those things actually have a higher fraud detection and prevention proposition than either one on a standalone basis. So that's
that makes sense. Now, let me ask you a question. So if you're saying license verification, I get that, right? I'm in the industry, right? So I'm guessing we scan something or we put it in and it does that. When you talk about insurance verification, is this something that you're doing if I'm just buying a car, or is this something you're doing if I'm trading a car? Is that to prevent like a scam on a trade, or is that to prevent like what does the insurance verification do? Just because that's where I'm not sure where the power of that is, and I would love if you could tell me, just so I become more educated to this.
Yeah, so there's various moments in a dealership where insurance is necessary. Not all dealers follow the same processes, okay? But let's just start at the moment most people know about. I'm buying a car. When I buy a car, at some point in that process today, a dealer says you need to have insurance because it's required for the loan. And in that process starts a lot of these inefficiencies. So how does that information get from the customer to the dealer is piece one. There's FTC requirements that say that it needs to be provided securely. So that's piece one. But did what they provide you mean that they actually had insurance, right? So there's a lot of impacts that happen in the dealer and inefficiencies, getting on the phone with insurance companies, orchestrating things with the agents back and forth. They're open, they're closed. It's a weekend deal, it's late night, whatever is going on. And ultimately the customer's sitting in the middle of all this back and forth and waiting, and the deal's not getting done. And so what we do is we do real-time insurance verification by connecting digitally to the insurance companies to verify insurance at whatever moment in the dealership someone would say, show me your ID card or provide to me your policy. So that's sometimes at test drive, sometimes at purchase, and sometimes that happens as part of the early desking process, at an early point, usually going into F&I, but definitely it needs to end up in the deal jacket. And it also is required for titling and registering a vehicle. You've got to have insurance to do that. And then the last place, just real quick, is in service. To get a rental or a loaner, you have to have insurance. And so today there's a lot of problems that exist there that we're solving.
So I'm curious. Obviously, I have a lot of experience in the dealership world. I also got to work and run a large Mercedes, just like Scott, and that's where we had a lot of similarities. We liked to beat our head against the wall and try to sell people $90,000 vehicles. But when we talk about insurance, I want to be a dealer for a minute, right? Because I guarantee this is something you guys probably get all the time, and I'm curious about how you guys handle this. So we go verify insurance, and in today's day and age, I see we try to find every reason not to sell a car rather than to find a car deal. But I would imagine that we run into an obstacle with a tool like yours, and maybe we don't. So I'd love to know this. If they go and verify the insurance, right? You guys plug it into the system, they verify the insurance, but it doesn't have the right coverage, or it doesn't have the minimums or whatever it is, right? There's something that creates a roadblock. Why, in today's day and age, and we know that most dealerships don't follow they don't have a written guideline to insurance verification, we'll say. Wouldn't that make them want to run away from having a tool like this if it stops it, it creates a roadblock, right? Because sometimes it's one of those see no evil, hear no evil type of situations when we're selling cars.
Yeah, well, so in some dealers, that is true. In other dealers, they recognize that, and some do actually have some standard operating procedures or best practices And then ultimately in almost all cases, requirements of their lenders to do verification. So we've had a lot of conversations with OEMs that say, the requirement to verify insurance is actually on the dealer. And so there are cases, it may not have hit your dealer, but there are cases of lender blowback. We do see when we run reports out of the DMS about deals getting kicked over insurance with insurance related issues, things like that. And so a mindset of hear no evil, see no evil, it's like ignorance is not an excuse, right? But we hear it and it happens and it is an obstacle. But we have what we call it built into our product, remediation. Remediation is, and because it's digital and it doesn't take all this back and forth and it's instant, right? Back up for a second. Dealers wait till the deal's desk and they're going into F&I to have that done. At that point, the person's somewhat fatigued and now you've got all this back and forth. And it takes a long time to do. So if it didn't take as long, could you do it earlier? Figure out if there are issues, get in front of those issues, share transparently, which what our system does is tell the customer at that same moment, say the VIN's missing from the vehicle, you don't have comp and collision and you're trying to do a lease or a finance, so maybe the liability limits are off or whatever. And it tells them instantly what to do and then provides them a path to go fix that. Right all through our application instantly. And so this is actually helping dealers and customers resolve the issue, because if they get a deck page and they don't have a vehicle with comp and collision on it, and the dealer submits that into the deal jacket and there's a loss, it could blow back against them. And
sure.
That's kind of how I see it is, some dealers recognize that and some dealers take the other mindset. Our best customers are the ones that see it. And then our job is to help make this as ubiquitous as possible, such that the dealers who don't see it will follow on to those that are leading,
Sure. Well, I like the fact that you said you have the remediation, right? Like, so you already anticipated, right, that there was going to be a roadblock, right? We know how the auto landscape is, right? It's, we know what happens out there. And so you've already said like, hey, look, if we do this earlier and it's simpler, you're giving him the ability not to make it a roadblock at the end, right? Because we wait till we put them in there. Then there's all these roadblocks, and that's not good for anybody, right? It just blows the whole consumer experience away. So the fact you guys are like, hey guys, we can find this out in a couple seconds here up front. And so while we're closing things down, you could actually be telling the customer rather than waiting and plopping them in there and saying, oh, by the way, you can't leave until you have all these particular things, which is just a terrible, terrible situation for most people. So I love that. And now I know that there's other pieces of this, and I'm sure, Scott, you'll get into those because you guys have a verification piece, which I'm guessing is like, that's how you protect dealers, which in today's day and age, I know there's probably one or two other people that I've seen that have the license thing. I haven't seen anyone with this insurance thing. But like you said, when they run hand in hand with each other, you're just in a better spot, right? Because maybe you found the fake license, but now you're about to get clipped by insurance, right? So you have both. What else does this bring to it? Because check my driver. I'm guessing that you guys have more than just those two things and these components that help dealers. Because you said it also makes some money. So you said that it's proficient in efficiency, but then there's these things that somehow make them money, which I'm pretty sure anybody that views this is going to be like this. I kind of heard the first part, but I'm definitely tuned into the making money part.
Yeah, so that's what the basis of what we're doing all gets unlocked through the insurance verification. So by performing these, which are improving the guest experience, improving your employee efficiency, and safeguarding the dealer, we are also now have access to all of the consumer's profile. So this is live insurance data, much cleaner in the moment than any third-party database you can get. That's going to unlock opportunities, whether it be for additional conquest vehicles, loyalty, or conquest sales, acquisition, and customer loyalty opportunities. So through all this data, it can be weaponized in different assets.
Yeah. So just go ahead.
Oh no, I was going to say, so you guys when you guys get this information, because I'm guessing we're going to get into this conversation. So you have the information now of like essentially every vehicle that the consumer drives.
Yes.
So that kind of gives you an insight, right? Depending on how you use it, right? If you use it for good or evil, right? Is that you now know you can kind of create customer profiles, right? If they have a truck, a car, an SUV, whatever it may be, you now know kind of the dynamic of what's going on for at least their vehicle set aside of things. And I think that's really interesting. And the fact that you mentioned, as everybody knows, I'm one of the, key front runners in acquisition. So I think it's extremely interesting on how you guys pivot this to acquisition. Sales, I think we all want to know about the sales, but the fact that acquisition has become a massively hot button. I've been doing it for 15 years, but it has become like the trend now that we find acquisition in a different way. I'm curious on how you guys do that, but Justin, you wanted to kind of bring in a point on the pieces of how you guys get this data and how it's used.
Yeah. So think about it. It's more, what I was going to say is it's more than just the other vehicles in the household, it's the other drivers. And then you also have the other, and the coverages. There's information that comes in that tells you about, so if you think, if you just point them all the way back, if you know about the vehicles that they drive currently, and you know about the other people in the household, we all can agree there's more opportunity, right?
Yep.
Like we know things about them. We also know their insurance and their levels of insurance, which are also indicators to propensity to buy other F&I products through a sales process. So let's just start with that. Then you peel back and you say, okay, so I have the insurance information, now the customers. From a first party standpoint, these other vehicles, you can better negotiate trade-ins because I know the other vehicle in advance before. The conversation for me as a consumer is always awkward when they're trying to size me up for a trade-in when I'm just trying to negotiate my deal, right? Because somehow I feel like the trade-in is going to somehow influence this deal I'm getting on the new thing. But if you come more proactive about it and you could change your dialogue, you have more customer intimacy, you come more informed. We're in an information age. The old school folks say, oh, it might seem creepy. Most folks now, it may seem creepy, but it's not creepy. Everyone knows that they have information, right? I talk about, whatever, this product that I like, and next thing I know, it's showing up in my so to come in and just sit there and say, hey, customer, are you interested in trading in your 2009, Honda or whatever else, is a different conversation to happen. Additionally, this data, what we're working to do is to hook this up to instant cash offer type solutions and other types of products and services that would allow the dealer to take the additional VINs that they don't know about and to be able to start making market and solicit acquisition offers, but also service offerings inside their dealer group for those other brands. So you can think about how some of the things hang interlock.
All right, so I have two questions. One of them is going to take some time, and we're going to get to it in a second. But the first one's going to be the easier one because this acquisition thing, you guys have me mind blown right now. So the way that you said this, and I want to just clarify because I didn't even think about this, but it sounds really interesting, especially from a profitability standpoint. You get this registration information so that let's say they have 3 cars, they have drivers, right? You said in F&I. So are you guys creating a dynamic to where when they know this, they could actually sell additional outside of the car they're selling in the moment? They could say, now, are you protected on your other vehicles in the moment? You're doing off contract F&I products or paint and fab or whatever it may be that they're offering to the consumer?
Yeah, they can. And also passing, companies to orchestrate this, through their client relationship management systems to if you're in a Honda store and you've got a Toyota store, in brand and you want to create a lead to send a service offering because that's not a current customer of the group. I mean, all these things start happening in all the different ways that you could think about as an entire entity for this customer. The opportunities, I don't want to say endless because the opportunities there start to emerge as pretty clear. It's really just about weaponizing the data and then serving it up and then going and executing on those things. No, I say to the folks in my sales team, no ask, no get. Well, people get it's hard sometimes to make the ask, especially about other things that aren't there. But if we serve this information up to them right in the dealer's face, then the opportunity to sit there and have a profile that, like Scott was talking about, that give you the talk tracks and the nuggets for which to go ask them. You're helping them, consult with them. Hey, you just offered them rim and tire insurance, right? you have this other one. Would you be interested in an extended warranty, right? They just bought one product. Why might they not buy another? Now you can bundle, you can save, you can cross-sell, upsell. Lots of opportunities come about in sales and in service.
Well, I think that really changes that dynamic, right? That changes that conversation in F&I, because you're going to make the main thing, right? I'm going to handle the car I'm selling you because you don't want to be distraction. But then once that's done, right? Then you're like, okay, guys, as we're finishing up, now I know we went over this, but something we do that other people don't, right? Because this becomes a consumer experience offering that not all stores are going to figure out that they need this, right? And once they all do, then there'll be something new, right? But it's like you get to create a custom approach to you handle the customer experience better. I also like the fact that when you guys said if they have rentals or they have their own service acclamation over there, that you can run into that. I think that's fascinating, because just the fact you're adding another talk track, and of course they have to practice that and get better at it, but in finance, right, on something that you didn't sell, I think that again, let's just say you average an extra $100 a car. It's $100 you never had before. So now on the acquisition side, I have so many questions, and because I think I'm sure the pieces of this tool are great. I'm sure people see but because acquisition is it's like AI, it's like the new buzzword. It's like we can't get around it. Buy centers, acquisition, private party, whatever we want to call it. When you guys are saying, okay, you're looking to partner with, or you can do these instant cash offers, you got the insurance verification, they give an offer and another one. I'm curious, right? And because Scott knows how passionate I am about training and education, and I know he feels the same way. How do you train, or how do you guide people not to hurt themselves with having this information, right? Because there's got to be a certain delivery. Like you said, the older people don't like Big Brother, right? That the fact that they're, you can hear, I talk on my phone right now, and I guarantee you your guys' ad's going to come up on my phone later, right? Because that's just what it is. And we get all their information, so they know it's happening, but we're talking the older generation, boomers, maybe light Gen X. The young ones are like, man, they got everything, right? But it's also delivering the information to where it doesn't feel grimy, right? So that it's not like, hey, by the way, that 09 Lexus in your driveway, are you open to selling that too? You don't want to just come out and say that. Yeah. So I'm curious, when you guys roll this out to stores, do you guys help them, educate them, and help build that for them? So, or is it one of these because we see this with programs all the time, guys, here's this software, and you're like, all right, guys, you're cool. There's a couple of webinars, and then hey, thanks guys. How do you guys handle that? Because we see that all the time of these really incredible techs that come out, but then if you give it to me, or you give it to some of us knuckle draggers that have been in the business for 25 years, we're going yeah, I don't know. Right. Because we did it a certain way, and then the communication standards and connections are different. So I'm curious, how do you guys go about making sure we're empowering people in the stores with this technology and these tools? Because I think these are tools, but we want to make sure that they feel confident in them, right? They're not going into it weary. They're going in this is great.
There's two pieces to that. Just for complete clarity on where we are, what we're doing, and kind of where we're going, I think it's important to put those in perspective. So today in the application, we surface the information up to the F&I person, or to the service team in our dashboard that are tied into this process. And so we surface it up, and that in that transaction for that customer. But we also have it's called driver insights. We also have an area in the application where they can go, and we call it it's like a virtual garage, if you will. And it's of all the verifications that I've done, you can see all the vehicles for all your customers and all the drivers that exist in that household. And that's where today, inside the box, that's where the application is today, which facilitates and enables them to. That's on that piece. We have partnered with folks that do the piece that you're talking about, and it is absolutely critical that for the partners that we work with, that they have that change management function. For our piece, for what we do, and how to use our software to effectuate the outcome, which is if you're not really good at doing the ID and insurance verification, which is a change back to the piece you talked about before, if they don't do that well, then they don't get the data. They don't get the data, then they can't do the other thing. So we do have management. Scott was nodding his head before, because change management is really important for us. We do have an implementation and onboarding process. We do have a cadence from our customer success and performance management that incorporates change management. We have SOPs written out that we share and that can be modified for the dealer. And we just launched what's called Check My University, which is providing content and enablement on how to be successful for themselves and with their customers. And so that's woven into the DNA of how we do things. But as we get tighter and tighter with our partners, we're going to bring those things in, but we aren't directly going to be the fulfiller of the change management of executing that which folks like yourself are experts in. We're experts in what we do, and we're working with folks to bring that change, that enablement of that to the dealership.
No, but listen, I appreciate you being very candid about that, right? It's like, you guys know you have all the information, right? And the information really is the key, right?
Yeah.
Like, without information, we're just guessing, right? We're just like, we're hypothesizing. So the fact that you're like, okay, we're partnering with people, we're making sure we do that. And like you said, you have a rollout and you have a thing. So you have things written down. I want to say that again, guys. They have a process written down, okay? Yeah. Not hypothetically, this is something you guys should have catch from that. It's written down. Okay. This has become a hot button for everybody. Why should we have press? This is written down. In that you guys are making sure you're not going to be able to somehow paint this to like Da Vinci painting, but you're like, we're going to get you guys and get you all the information and how to use it. And then your guys are partnering with people, or you guys are letting them know, you're going to want to make sure that you tailor this for your experience, because it's just information, right? And information in the wrong hands can be used wrong. But I think it's great that you guys have, like you said, especially this cross function, right? The license and the insurance, right? Because it's not just the license. To me, I get it. I've seen them. I saw when that technology first came out and I was like, okay. And some came through and they had little marks on them and said they were fake. Some said they were right. If the color was off. But now having the insurance, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, because now it's 2 points of reference, right? Like if one, you're like, I don't know, let's check the insurance. And if the insurance comes out, you're like, okay, it's probably okay. If it's one's bad and the other one's bad, oh yeah, we're definitely cooked here, kids. And it gives
for e-retailing, online transactions where your customer's not that close to you, it becomes a really big factor.
Well, and I don't know where each one of you guys are sitting right now, but I'm in California, and we've had quite a few of these, we'll call it theft rings, where they're buying cars with all this fake nonsense. And to this point, which this is why I'm a big fan of this modives with the 2-step verification, is it's because dealers didn't have a tool like this. And so, we don't want to go into it thinking people are doing something dishonest, right? Like, we're trying to sell a car, but unfortunately there are people that are doing some, pretty shady shit, so the fact that you guys can now protect the dealer, to me, I don't look at modives as an expense, right? This is an investment in protecting my money, right? Because there's no other tools out there that I know of that are doing 2-stage, right? I've seen plenty of them with the license thing. I've seen that, right? But I haven't seen the 2-stage. And when dealers think about it and say, at this point, what I love about your guys' tool in today's dynamic is if they say, well, I got screwed or I got scammed for a car, well, that's your fault, because there's a tool out there that could have protected you against this. You chose not to, right, have that. And so I think it's great you guys are doing that. And the fact that you're bridging the gap, right, into efficiency and proficiency and then profitability, right? 3 words that are like, that's what every dealer wants to hear. Well, at least in theory, they want to hear that. I don't know if they necessarily want to do it.
Yeah, that's the hard part.
Right. Yeah. So
say you're going to do or what you think you want to do.
Now with modives, with the Check My Driver, like how easy is it for a dealer? Like if they're like, you know what, I'm kind of interested in this, how would they get a hold of you? And then what's the ramp up time? Are we talking 2, 3, 4 weeks? Are we talking a week? Like how quickly could they get going with you guys, and how would they get a hold of you guys, or how would they get in touch with you guys?
Well, Scott can answer how they can get in touch with us in a second. Let me give you the quick ramp up. So a onboarding for a dealer takes a 30-minute call. There's obviously change to effectuate the program, which happens over 30 to 60 days, in some cases 90 for slow changing dealerships. But the turn on, someone says they want to get turned on, they get turned on, they get the account. The way in which the verifications happen is both it's standalone and self-contained, but it's effectuated through a QR code that we give them. So implementing a QR code is very easy to do. It's accessible within the application out of the box. So before they even get to printing, they could be doing it right there live, right, turn around their screen on their phone, on a tablet, on a kiosk, however else they want to do it. And also a link from within the system. They can click a button, they can punch in the email or cell phone and send the customer a link, and they're off and going. And it's a 15 to 30 second total journey, and they're done. And so the implementation, getting them to do it and understand the results and what to do about it, takes a little bit of time, but the implementation is very easy. When integration's involved, it depends on what their DMS or what their fleet management software is or whatever else. And so that, I'm not going to get into things that takes a little bit additional orchestration to do. But it's very easy to stand up and get started. We have folks getting off that 30-minute implementation setup call and doing verifications that very same day.
So the fact they can use it right away,
away.
The integrations are different, because that's where you want it to become seamless and everything else. That goes without saying. Like, you could have a DMS that is, we all know who you are. That's very hard to integrate with. We won't say it on here, okay? But we all know who you are. Like, I can see why that takes weeks, but if you're saying like now a salesperson or a manager could literally just boom, QR code this thing, and now like I'm protecting my store within 24 hours, right? And you're saying 30 minutes, but I mean, realistically, within 24 hours, I can get the word out to everybody, and everyone would have this QR code.
And all that kind of stuff, but functionally working, capable of running one. You could walk to your colleague and say, look, try this. And that's what I was answering.
That's huge, huge. And then how would someone get a hold of you? How would they set that up? And like, what does that look like? Because I know when dealers watch this, right, the first they're going to say is, you answered the one. How hard is it? How quickly can we go? And then like, where do we get a hold of you? But realistically, like, what's that bandwidth of like, is it a week or two to get a hold of you guys? Like, cause I mean, so Scott, kind of tell me what that looks like.
Yep. So we can generally get a dealer up and running within a week. Right now, time frame, week, 2 weeks, depending on when they decide to come. But it's really super lightweight lift. I speak dealers, so we can connect right away, and I understand their needs. I understand their preoccupations, and we just get them aligned together.
Yeah. So if you go to www.modives.com, that's our main webpage. But if you go to checkmydriver.ai, there's also a lead form that's available there for them to come in. That'll come into our inbox, and you'll get Scott's our director of automotive. That stuff will generally end up on his desk or someone on his team. And they'll get back to him, as Scott said, quickly. I mean, we're responsive. We'll be right on top of that almost, within the same day or 24 hours. They'll get some communication back, schedule a meeting, get a demo set up either in that meeting or subsequent. And then really at the end of the day, sizing up how much do they need, what's the right package for them. We have per rooftop type of model for the ID scanning and the insurance, and a combo package for them. Those are easy, just getting them the right size. And then, they can execute agreements with us all digitally, pretty streamlined. And then larger groups, of course, have corporate and compliance and maybe some InfoSec things that we might need to get through. So that might change that a little bit. But, you come right to our website, or, send us an email at checkmydriver.ai. You should be good.
So that's fantastic. And I get what you're saying when it's groups and everything else, but that's more of what their restrictions. That's not you guys. You're ready to go, but
we're ready to go.
You got to jump through all the magical hoops sometimes. Now I'm curious, because when it comes to that, so I want to circle back to this because you brought it up, but I want to make sure people knew where to find you guys. Is that you said, so as digital retailing, which I don't think ever takes over our business, but it's a piece, right? And it's a sizable piece depending on where you're in the country. So you're saying that this is something you can send someone essentially like a driveway link or some kind of link that they can do this. Is this done is it like the technology where they're taking a picture of their license and their face? Is it all doing like this cross? I don't know what they call it, but where it's cross comparing to make sure everything matches, and then that's how you're verifying it?
Yeah. So the ID, we scan the front and the back of the ID. It could be a license, but we do accept many other forms of identification.
Passport, I-10, things of that nature.
All things of that nature. Yeah, absolutely. And then that checks the front and back for is it real? It compares the barcode, the data on the front, and does all those kinds of things. But then it goes a step further and goes out to over 100 different data sources and checks things like telecom, Social Security, OFAC, all that stuff to confirm the synthetic fraud profile. So, you have a license, it is a valid document, it's real, it's confirmed to be believed to be real. but then let's go check if it's real. And so one of those checks also does check a DMV database. We get asked this all the time. Is the license suspended? It does not check whether it's suspended or not, but it will check if a known license for this person existed in the DMV's database. So that is one of the checks. So this license is now, from a synthetic fraud standpoint, confirmed. That's one confirmed. Then you layer in, are they a bad actor? If they ever had a cell phone bill? All these other things that would say that they didn't just emerge born today as a 50-year-old man, right? And so that's what's done for the fraud piece. And then, like you had quickly latched onto before, is we feed the data of that person into the insurance verification and look to see, are they an insured, a driver, and not only that, are they an excluded driver on the policy? So because if they were excluded, the fact that they gave you an insurance document doesn't apply to them.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? So we do a lot of stuff there's a lot of checks, but that hopefully that answers what you were getting at.
Yeah, no, it is. Because when you're saying you're doing it online, right? How easy is it, right? And what does it do, right? So now the other thing, because you brought up DMV, one of our favorite things in the whole wide world is DMV, because they're so easy to deal with. Is there any states that you guys aren't able to run against? Or do you guys are you guys 50 state compliant in the sense that there's no state that it won't pull? Okay, that's awesome.
No,
because,
there's
some DMV
there's even U.S.
territories.
Yeah, there's even U.S. territories that are covered. I don't have the details on the full scope of that on my tongue, but yeah, it's the United States plus territories. The territories.
So, no, that's just good to know, because I know some people and some DMVs a little bit harder to deal with than others. State by state. I live in one specifically that's extremely difficult. So it's always interesting to see as these tools come out. They're like, like I always ask for the fine lettering, like, oh, every state except for Florida, California, Texas, New England, and you're like, okay, so just the middle of the country. So I'm glad to hear that you guys have all of those, because then no dealer has to worry about, like, if someone came into their store, they're in Arkansas, but someone has a Texas license, it can run that check so that they're getting the proper information, right? Because we see that all the time, right? Out of state deals, or especially virtual deals, that I'm buying a car, but I'm having it shipped from Florida. Are they going to check my DMV, or are they going to check is it able to cross check? So that's fantastic.
And we have rules by state for on the insurance thing. Like if you're buying a car from a dealer in one state, but you're in another state, where it's being delivered to, where that deal's going to, we actually check the requirements against the state at which the car is being delivered as versus the state where it's being purchased, because that's where the requirements are. So we have rules, and dealers can set that to make sure that the check is being done specific to the deal that they're doing.
Oh, that makes sense. So that they're not like, oh, we were compliant, but we weren't because it was being done somewhere else, which, again, like you guys said, it's proficiency and efficiency of protecting their money, right? If you show them how to make a ton of more money, but it's not protected, then, I mean, like, that's great until it's not.
The big thing that, like, when I look at all this and you go back to, like, what you're talking about, the dealer's like, out of sight, out of mind. The reality is it is out of sight. They're not doing the reality is they're not really verifying insurance. And so lots of getting checked. And so you sit there and say, you can keep driving your people to this process and bang your head against the wall about, keep giving the accountability. It's very challenging for a lot of dealers and accountability, but we kind of remove that level of accountability to having the tribal knowledge. So one, not only are they doing it, but to do it right. Because there's no reason to do it if you're going to do it wrong. But how can a human know all these rules of insurance and identity and checking and confirming, and then you have no audit record of whether or not they did it and what they did and the results of the decision they made? Our system captures all of that. So they're completely, kind of protected, and they have an accountability framework to go back and say, hey, this deal did, but there's no record for a verification. This deal was like this, but you made this mistake. Like in this state, the liability limits for a lease are not 100, 300 there, whatever else,
Well, and I think that goes to a lot to, like, today's business model of, like, if you're protecting it, then you're also protecting your customers, right? Because you're protecting the integrity of what you do. And when you do things the right way and you make sure you go thinking, yeah, you might have to say no to a deal. And I get it. When we say that, that's kind of crazy. But at the end of the day, it only is crazy until, and most dealers understand this as I say this, I've never worked for a store that has not had to deal with a lawsuit of some kind. and not a lawsuit because of behavior. I'm talking like a deal. They didn't have the right thing. It got wrecked. And so they go like this. They're like, now they're having to cut a check or their insurances or whatever it is, which makes their premiums go up. Right. But it's because this could have all been avoided if you just put a couple of stop breaks in it. Right. Which essentially is what you guys are giving them. You're giving them these stops to where that keeps them compliant of, we said yes to this deal. Had we just done one thing, and if they went and got in an accident, we wouldn't be cutting a check from our insurance company for $250,000, which is now going to make our rates go up an extra whatever it is.
We have a customer that was implementing in the middle of implementing. So it wasn't like they already said yes, they recognized the pain, but they were implementing and had 2 total losses that ended up blowing back on them. And their team, the reason it was taking a long time to implement is their team was moving very slowly because they were resisting a little bit, and came back in as like, listen, look, this cost me personally money, the owner of the dealer. But there's 2 other pieces that I do want to say, because it ties to the insurance piece that you talked about. One ties to, you don't want to lose the deal because they don't have the right insurance. We actually, as part of the remediation, don't just tell them the problem. We also give a solution. So some dealers have their own relationships and their own insurance things that they want to drive them to. We have a method to connect them when that comes in and drive the customer right into that flow. So it could be to their in-house agency or to, their preferred vendor for insurance. And we also have out of the box our own offering. So if someone doesn't have enough, we can drive them right to go get that fixed right online directly inside of our experience, or direct them to the dealer's preferred experience. So that was one. I just wanted to call it out that makes them more money.
Of course. Yeah. No, I think that's good to call out, right? Because I thought when you said remediation that you're telling them what they need to do, but they'd still have to go make calls. But the fact you're providing the link and or an option, now you're removing a disconnect, right? Because again, the more times we don't have to be like, hey, by the way, guys, now here's the phone, go do that. Like, and you can say, no, you can just click this button and we can do it. It protects them and it gets it done.
Yeah, don't just tell me about the problem. Help me fix it.
Help me fix it in the moment. Not like, hey, I got a fix for you, but it'll be about a day or 2, right? Like, no, like right now. So I think that's great. So I think that's something that, now hearing this, I talked to Scott many times. I've actually had a couple of dealers ask me about this because of the verification. And, I spoke highly, but the fact that you guys have more than even I knew you guys had. I knew it was the license and insurance thing, but the fact you have all these other pieces, and then the acquisition, and it's like and then the acquisition and service. I get how you could use that in service for the stores that are more comprehensive, that have the rental, they have that, things of that nature. That makes a lot of sense. Again, protecting investments. So I think it's fantastic. I think you guys are onto something big. I'm curious. I'm not curious. I'm excited to see who you guys are partnering with in like acquisition and how that's going to come, because I think we're seeing a lot of like, it's AI or acquisition, right? The EV buzz is kind of wore off. So now we're at AI or acquisition. So I'm really excited to see how you guys partner with people to make it to where a full service solution, right? They can get a number, they can get this, and a consumer, forget about the dealer. I know it's crazy I said that, but where the consumer can get like an easy pathway all the way forward without being like, I got to go get Scott for one thing, Justin for another thing, Darrell for another. Like, the consumer hates that, right? So the fact you guys are partnering and being able to make this a full travel, I love that. I'm so excited to see that. Awesome. Anything else you want us to know about you, Scott, or Justin, or your guys' company before we wrap this up? Because I think you guys are great. And I think, guys, if you haven't heard enough to be interested, if not ready to say yes to modives, I don't know what else to do for you. They're going to protect your money, make you money, okay, and make your process simpler, which who doesn't want that? But before we wrap it up, anything you guys want to leave anybody with?
Scott, you want anything?
No, definitely. Listen, we love to partner with dealers, whether it be for, protecting your assets, your first party acquisition, conquest sales, loyalty sales. Let's talk, let's strategize. Let's really find what every dealership has their own reasons they're coming to us. So I'd love to just have those conversations and really dive in, strategize what that specific dealer is looking for, and let's see how we can make it work together.
Yep.
Go ahead, Justin.
I was just going to add to that. And to the dealers, you have your own preferred vendors. The challenge for companies like us is this mixed web of who you prefer to do business with. And so, for us navigating that, I guess my call out to them is, we have APIs and integrations and the capability to deliver the data to your CRMs. And so if you have your own marketing partners that are already helping you weaponize, or you have a preferred solution, just regardless of who we pick and who we partner with, we can still help you and work with you. It's not overly challenging for us to connect what we're doing into that world. So don't think that that's a blocker. Reach out to us and connect us with your teams and or your partners as well, and we'll collaborate to figure out how you can get the full benefits that we were talking about today.
I love it, you guys. The fact you're willing to customize, go the extra mile for them. And hey, guys, anybody that hears this in the dealer universe, you can say no. It's okay. They'll have a conversation. You can say no. If you don't want to protect yourself, you don't want to make more money, okay, they're not going to force you guys to be better and make more money, okay? But if you wanted to make more money and you wanted to protect your assets, it seems like they've got it handled for you guys. All you have to do is say, it's a three letters. I know it's a tough one. Okay. It starts with a Y, ends in an S. You figure out the E in the middle. Okay. And you just say yes to these guys. They'll have you up in 24 hours. So I hope you guys learned a lot about modives, because I'm excited about this from a lot of different aspects: the protection, the proficiency, the efficiency, acquisition, true to my heart, and how we can better that, because that is a tough mountain to climb right now. And you can see Justin and Scott, they're passionate about what they do. Scott's he's been in the auto industry for many years. So it's not like you're dealing with like a what do you call it? Like someone that just went to school and never did it. Like, he's been in those streets, okay, getting beat down. Justin co-founded this and put this together, and he was in the insurance side. So we know he's been beat down by the market. So they know what it takes to get this done, guys. So I would say give them a chance, and I hope you guys learned a lot today, and we thank you guys for coming on. Justin and Scott, just stay here for 1 second as we roll this out.